Like,
hmm
to me, I hate force feet and accomplishments when it don't work in the grand scheme of a storyline.
Right.
Even if Dominic would have started trash talking John Cena weeks and weeks ago, led up to the Monday Night Raw where
Right.
we knew the IC title belt was going to be on the line. Monday Night Raw, John Cena's final home time in Boston. Then I'd have been like, okay, you know, I
Something you
can
could, yeah,
I can
yeah.
digest that a little bit more. For me, it's like, nah, I ain't really
You,
want to see that. Oh, yo, paint to the pit. We are back. It's always fun when we can get back, bro. Get back to recording. So much stuff happening. WWE, so much stuff happening in the NBA. But how you feeling, bro?
feeling great, man. It's a good Thursday, man. Happy to be here.
I mean, happy to be here. Good Thursday. Great Monday Night Raw this past Monday. John Cena's
Yup.
final one in his hometown of Boston. That Monday Night Raw began with Triple H, giving John Cena, an incredible introduction. John Cena coming out, giving his speech. Dominic Mysterio comes out. Of course, I'm, breezing through it, but that sets up an IC title match right there on the spot. Obviously, as we all know at this point, John Cena defeats Dominic Mysterio to win the IC title, which completes his Grand Slam championship. It closes that chapter. So his
Right.
final night in
Crazy.
Boston, he was able to become Grand Champion. So I think, bro, we could pause right there because I think that was a big moment. I just want to get your thoughts on John Cena becoming Grand Slam champion, the oldest to ever do it, you know,
Yeah.
and more specifically, the manner in which it was done. So would love to get
Mhm.
your thoughts on that.
Yeah. I was a little surprised. I was a little surprised. I wasn't sure if they would jump the gun on that and make that happen because I know there was a lot of chatter about, oh, he actually hasn't won the IC title
Yeah,
yet. Like, what if he is? Let's make him the Grand Slam champion. I like it. I think that it's kind of a good way to honor him. The work he's put in. It's like, hey, let's just give you this one last little title, put it on you. Now you've this is full circle, right? Like you've got an achievement that is basically pretty hard to get, right? It's not too often many stars go to different titles and see themselves in different divisions. And it just so happened that it worked out that Cena was, he managed to touch every facet of the game essentially, right? Like tag title, the U.S. title, and now he's back to the Intercontinental. I really like it. I'm just curious as to how they would, I guess, use it in this sense. Which I mean, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, right? Like he's on his way out. We kind of know it's either they're gonna offload that to somebody else or just have him vacated. So I just hope that the way that they go about it would be like give us something cool, like with the especially with the tournament and everything. Like give us
yeah,
something really cool to go off of and cheer for essentially.
absolutely. Nah,
Yeah.
bro, I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't like it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it when it happened. Of course, since I've been so anti Cody, my hypocrisy stuck out when he beat Cody for the belt because obviously
Yeah.
I celebrated that, and of course I can admit the hypocrisy. But it's like I get we on a final run, bro, but
Mm-hmm.
wrestling is still wrestling. Professional wrestling is still professional wrestling, right? So you bring John Cena along, you force feed him
Mm-hmm.
the world championship belt for him to get that record. Now you force feed him the IC belt for him to get that record.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, this is still professional wrestling. And to me, I feel like they've been doing a great job at celebrating John. Like we don't often when we comparing superstars or comparing our favorites, we don't go, oh yeah, but he had the Grand Slam champion, his Grand Slam champion. We don't do that in wrestling. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like we talk move set, we talk promo, we talk, selling who could sell out. That's the stuff we
So
talk about,
yeah.
right? You know what I mean? So it's like for them to just like damn near squash Dominic Mysterio, and I know Dominic Mysterio is over, so it's not really going to matter in terms of how it impacts him as a character. But it's like I just don't like that. The point of wrestling is for me to give me a storyline. Give me a storyline to it, to where it's like, all right, I could at least attach myself to something to where I go, it makes sense. But force feed and accomplishments is like terrible to me. Like I
That's a good
hate the
point.
way that looks, bro. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
make it an earned accomplishment via through a storyline. I'm not saying he didn't deserve to hold the record for the world championships. I'm not saying he didn't deserve to be a Grand Slam champion. I think he deserved all of that and more. That's John Cena we talking about. That's Mount
Mm-hmm.
Rushmore. but it's the way you go about it starts making it look funky. And for me, I think now it's dope because it's like, oh, it's John Cena. We're gonna miss him. It's his hometown. But I don't think stuff like this is gonna age too well. And I think when people have the conversation on it years from now, it's like, damn, do we really think WWE dropped the ball with that retirement run? And then also, what does this look like going forward, bro? When our next set of legends begin to retire and announce their retirement, are we going to start seeing this as a trend? If like this person is one title off of this, all right, he's going to get this belt. If this
Yeah.
person is one title away from this or one match record away from this, are we going to force it? I don't like that type of wrestling. And I think that's why for me, even presenting the topic has been a sour taste in my mouth. And we big Dominic fans over here, so it's gonna be interesting to see how or if he wins that belt back. But it's like,
Mm-hmm.
to me, I hate force feeding accomplishments when it don't work in the grand scheme of a storyline.
Right.
Even if Dominic would have started trash talking John Cena weeks and weeks ago, and this led up to something, it led up to the Monday Night Raw where we
Right.
knew the IC title belt was going to be on the line. Monday Night Raw, John Cena's final home time in Boston. Then I'd have been like, okay,
Something you
can I
could,
can
yeah.
I can digest that a little bit more, bro. But for me, it's like, nah, I ain't really want to see that.
Do you think that they should have tried to do this a little earlier?
Yeah, absolutely, bro. And anything where it's like, all right, I understand I'm not gonna get the ultimate storyline for it, but give me
Mm-hmm.
something,
Right. Right.
not just
Right.
a random Dominic interrupting John and then he just lose the belt to John on the same night. He did that. It's just like it's
Yeah.
just it's forcing accomplishments to
Yeah.
somebody who you didn't need to
I
force
think
accomplishments for.
right. And I think I think you hit on a good point too, which is kind of what we always seem to allude to. It's just that it feels like right now the WWE is so big on just giving us these moments, but
Yep.
there's no pathway to these moments. It's just like slapping a moment down
Yep.
right there, and you're like, oh, like okay, like
That's real,
this is
bro.
what okay, like it's kind of like in a way like the thing that happened with Seth Rollins. Granted, he did get hurt, right? But like, did we really, really see like the Braun Breaker turn? It seemed like they just pivoted to that because of the injury, but it's like who would have thought of something like that happening like this early? Like why go that route? It's like they just throw these moments at us, and we're kind of just expected to see and put the pieces together. And it's like I don't know if fans operate that way. They operate best
Yeah.
off of little moments that you see week to week. Like for example, right? When we look back to Batista winning the Royal Rumble and remember his whole storyline with Triple H, he was always catching
Yep.
Triple H talking about him behind his back, and you had these little tidbits that you would see week to week. It wasn't even a wrestling aspect. We're just seeing Triple H behind, talking about how you gonna sneak Batista and do this, do that, and he's just a big dumb brood and all this. You felt
Yep.
that
I remember
moment, and
that.
when it got to that moment, you was like, wow,
Executed perfectly.
this was
Executed
great,
perfectly.
great story.
Even though you can see it from a mile away, if it's still executed perfectly, we're still gonna be on the edge of our seats just watching it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. It wasn't just
So
a
that's
moment. It was everything come together.
you know what I mean? And that's why I was just hoping, that part of it was done a little better. But shout out to Cena
Mhm.
because again, it's not to say he didn't deserve it.
Right,
The,
right,
the,
absolutely.
not to say he didn't deserve the honor because he did. It's just the way they went about it. I just wasn't the biggest fan of. But moving along,
Yeah.
bro. We did see just to quickly, since we are in the John Cena category, we did see the tournament kickoff, which is off to a slow start, but we did see Rusev defeat Damian Priest and Sheamus defeat Shinsuke Nakamura. So it's going to be interesting to see how that tournament continue to play out. But also, it was more championships on the line this past Monday Night Raw. Stephanie Vaquer
Like
successfully
great
defended her
card.
title against Raquel Rodriguez. And we saw the Kabuki Warriors defeat Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss with some interferences from Lash Legend and Nia Jax. And
Nia Jax.
that post match with Rhea Ripley also coming out wearing a mask. They
Mm-hmm.
screamed out War Games, so we know we're moving towards a War Games match with them. So tell me what you think about, the women's championship match. We kind of expected that was, status quo, but specifically about the tag team belts. What you felt about that
Yeah.
storyline, what it led to, and the victory.
I mean, I'm interested to kind of see where that leads. I think because I believe the Kabuki Warriors had the titles at one point, right? They were tag
Yes.
team champ. I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
putting the belt back on, I'm like, I kind of get it.
I believe
But then
so.
I'm like, why, like, why give? I do felt like the fans were kind of clamoring to Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. Like, I know we spoke about Charlotte Flair, like, she looks good in this scenario. And we kind of been
Yeah.
seeing, like, like, she hasn't been the best in terms of, like, her singles run and kind of the gimmick she has. But she sort of found,
Yep.
like, a little spot right here as a tag team. And I felt
Yeah.
like, why not just try to do something more with that, right? Like, don't just go, okay, Oscar and Kyrie Sane take the belts, go ahead. And shout out to Oscar and Kyrie Sane. I think they're great and they're doing great work. I like them as heels. They're, like, again, the women's division is stacked. There's so many people
For
doing
sure. I
great
agree.
work, and it's working. It's hitting on all. But I'm just like, hey, Bliss and Flair got. I think you got to keep that going. So I don't mind the switch. I just
Yeah.
worry about, like, what do you do now? That's always the how do you tell that story? So
Yeah. I mean, that's always the question, and I think, especially if you're going to give, you know, Lash Legend and such a big spot, such a big moment to make a statement like that, especially
mhm,
since she's new on the main roster. So it makes me think that ultimately, yeah, you're looking to push them as a tag team, and maybe that's where the ultimate goal lies with all of
mhm.
this, like making them a tag team, making them a dominant tag team. By they, I mean Nia Jackson, Lash Legend. I don't know. That's the only thing I can see so far. I'm still partial about them losing the belt on a random Monday Night Raw. And I know we kind of go back and forth with this conversation when should belts change hands on the PLE, when should belts change hands on,
Mhm.
Monday Night Raw. But
Mhm.
like certain things in certain moments, gotta feel a little bit more. And that one just ain't feel like that was the trigger moment. It's just a gut instinct, maybe. Maybe I can't put words on it, but it's gonna be interesting to see how that ends. And last but not least, we saw a
Yeah.
segment with CM Punk calling out Logan Paul, and instead, Paul Heyman comes out with, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, the Vision, and then Punk was ultimately joined by Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso, which it looks like it's pushing towards another kind of star-studded War Games match. I saw a lot of speculations
Mm.
online that they were saying maybe Brock Lesnar was joining Team Heyman and Roman Reigns would join Team Punk, and there's a bunch of different speculations. But how do you feel about and obviously
Oh
Logan
my
Paul would
god.
be Team Heyman as well. But how do you feel about Logan Paul kind of looks like he's being
You,
pushed
you know
into
what? You
the
know what
new
sucks? It's like
leader
I
of the
feel like I
division, or
don't
I guess
even
they
want
kind
to
of
give that
teasing it.
guy
How do you feel
any
about
thought
that,
or
and
platform.
where it's maybe leading to
But
for
it's
War
like
Games?
you also have to talk about it, right? Because it's like, man, I'm just so and that he I feel like is the
That's
specific
funny.
reason why I think we all feel the way we do about wrestling in its current state and just whatever they're doing right now. Because it's just like I respect how he is and how he is in the ring, and I think he's a decent heel, and I think he does good work. I think he tries, and we don't really see that from guys
Yeah,
that's outside. Like coming into the business and they're just fans of the sport and they adapt and they actually become a
yeah,
wrestler. Like I respect all that he's done. But I'm like at the same time, it just he's a regular heel character. Like there's nothing about him to where you need to slot him
yeah,
into these bigger moments or these bigger stories. Like he's practically in the main event story now. It's like why? Because of Seth Rollins is hurt. It's like why do we continuously slot this guy into every time there's some type of injury or moment where somebody has to be out? It's just like, oh, call up Logan Paul.
yeah,
Who made this guy? Like, why is he the pick? Why is he the star? Like, is there just no one else that can be used in these scenarios to kind of just put guys over? Like the Drew McIntyres, right? Like
yeah,
where are the other guys that should be slotting in? Like you're literally calling on a YouTuber. No disrespect to the guy. I'm pretty sure he's what. How do you feel about him? But he's just a regular heel to me, and I don't get why even place
yeah,
him in this situation. I thought the whole point was to have Seth Rollins build Breaker and Reed and sort of springboard from there. But now that Seth Rollins got hurt, it don't
yeah,
even feel like that. They just feel like tag guys.
yeah, yeah. I think it's interesting, bro, and I think I think I do. I want to preface my comments by saying I do share a lot of those same sentiments. But just for the sake of us being on a pod and us having a conversation, I am going to try to play devil's advocate a little bit, right? And let me tell you
Mhm.
why. I think I think when Rollins went down and Punk became champion, I don't think nobody in their right mind thought somehow, some way, Logan Paul was going to enter this equation. We thought it was looking more sort of like Braun
Okay.
Breaker, elevating and stuff. I like the Logan Paul just strictly on the fact that it's a curveball. You know, it wasn't the status quo. It wasn't obvious, right? And I do think at a certain point we should have been accepted the fact that once Logan Paul signed to WWE for like a bigger contract or a longer contract, that he was going to get a push
Mhm.
eventually. You know, we should have expected this. You know, I never thought his peak was going to be at stop at IC title. I just personally never felt that. I knew he was going to get a world title. I didn't know when, and I don't anticipate for how long. But he's going
Yeah,
to get a world title.
that
Like
is true.
he's been around too long.
Mhm.
He's probably their most probably top five most popular people they got on the roster. If we're being honest, if we're talking about social media
Mhm.
engagement, and that's what they look at, right? They look at that's the measuring stick, right? That's one of the measuring sticks. Like how can you pull on social media? And for him, he's always going to be
Right.
one of the top people on social media, right? Because that's what he does. So I just play devil's advocate from that standpoint of like it's something new. I don't know. I can't really tell which way they're taking it, even like beyond this War Games match, which, if that's going to be the War Games match,
This is like the third or fourth war games in a row,
I get
right?
it,
Like with
but
it.
I'm tired of seeing anything
Oh,
Cody Rhodes plus Roman Reigns related. I'm like over it. I am, bro. I am. You know what I mean? I'm over that. Every time that's what we doing with
yeah,
Roman now, but that's a
yeah.
whole nother
They gotta
topic.
they
But
gotta figure
it's
something
gonna be
out.
interesting to see where they go with that storyline, bro. Like I said, I like the curveball of it being Logan Paul, but like I ultimately do agree with you where it's just like, but
No,
it is what it is. They do gotta figure something out. And speaking of
not
figuring
you.
something out, bro, it seems like the Dallas Mavericks finally figured out that it was time to let go of Nico Harrison. And so 2 days ago on Tuesday, November 11th, Dallas Mavericks finally decided to pull the trigger on firing Nico Harrison. This is after the poor start, 3-8 record, among the worst in the Western Conference. Even at
Mhm.
games where it's tight, close games, like for example against Milwaukee, PJ Washington's at the line, and all the crowd is cheering and
Mhm.
screaming, "It's fire, Nico, bro!" So after all the
Yeah.
dramatics, after where
I
Dallas is
mean,
now, 3-8 record,
it's
Nico
unfortunate for
Harrison
him. I don't
finally
think it's
let go.
unfortunate
I
for
would
just
love
the
to know. I
sport
don't
and
have a
just like
specific
that
question for you because I
organization and
want I want to
basketball
go
as a whole.
wherever
Because it's like,
your thought
the
process
whole
take you. I
reason
just want to know your thought on the
and
situation
purpose of a
as a
GM,
whole.
right, is to kind of help put together teams and look at rosters and make sure guys is together and try to help the organization build something competitive, right? And that's kind of the whole basis behind why we even would talk about something like this, right? It's the competitiveness, it's the league, it's basketball, right?
Yeah,
We're here to, it's a sport, we're here to compete. So a guy like this trading Luka Doncic, top
absolutely.
five play in the world right now, like one is crazy, and then two is like, but for what? Not saying that who he traded them for is not great players in their own right, but like again, this is a generational talent. Like you don't see guys like this come around often. The guy's been playing basketball since he was like 10. It just makes me wonder about like,
Yeah,
again, we're here to compete. Why are you trading away players and pieces that are useful and you would want to keep basically forever? Like the whole point is to build a team that can win a championship.
yeah.
And I just don't see like he was. It doesn't seem like he was even. I don't know, really wouldn't know his thought process is, but it definitely wasn't an eye for a championship. I say that. It definitely doesn't feel like that. I feel like they had good players around Doncic, and it
Absolutely.
seemed like it was starting to come together, but then they just dropped the ball and just got rid of him. Like, what, because he fat? That's where we at? Not the skill, just because he got a little
Yeah,
extra
yeah.
weight on him?
100%.
Yeah, right? Okay. The triple double wasn't enough? My bad. My bad. But yeah, that's really where I'm at with it. It's just
Yeah.
it's unfortunate for him, but like I get it. It's a
Fat
competitive
averaging
sport. We're
28,
here to
9 and
compete
8.
and not just be a fucking
Silly. It's just
20
silly
and
stuff.
62 team. You know, we're here to
You
win
know what I
games, and
mean?
that's ultimately what matters at the end of the day. And the Mavericks are going to look for that. So why not? Got to make that move. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, that's the kind of, I think, pros and cons of what it seems like to be a GM. It's like, you want to do things where you want to leave your stamp, or you have this grand idea in your mind. And to be honest, I know a lot of people saying like, damn, I don't even know how he would present the idea, but it's like, if the conversation from ownership is,
Mm,
hey, I don't really know if I want to pay this guy $300 million, I think now in your mind you got to start saying what is the best idea. I'm just saying maybe that's potentially a way that story went, but also it's like, fam, you mishandled the Jalen Brunson situation, right? Now he's
Lakers
now
talk.
he's in New York killing. You mishandled the Quentin Grimes situation. Now he was killing, and obviously you traded Luka
Mm-hmm.
Doncic for Anthony. And I think the biggest problem with the trade, and this is coming from somebody, this is a Lakers fan, bro. So I'm not mad at the trade, but and full on like pod mode and full on discussing like it just from a basketball
Luka, yeah.
standpoint. It's like, fam, you didn't even grab everything from the Lakers. Like you
Mm-hmm.
got
Mm-hmm.
Anthony Davis, you got Max
Especially now.
Christie, and a future first. Or you're supposed to clean house for Luka Doncic. Austin Reeves is supposed to be in Dallas right now. Maybe even definitely Austin Reeves is supposed to be in Dallas right now, bro. If you don't grab Austin Reeves, you
Right.
you fell that trade. You fell that trade, bro. And for me, that's where my confusion is with Nico Harrison. I've also seen a lot of, well, he didn't pull the trigger on his own. Well, of course not. Owners don't fire themselves. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Owners don't fire
Right.
themselves.
Right.
So it's like, what you want I see that a lot, and it's like what you want the owners to come out to do. And at the same time, ever since the trade, every story that came out said this was Nico's idea. He even stood
Mm-hmm.
10 on it, which is why I respect it. Because he stood 10 on it. He said it was my idea. I presented this. This is what I wanted. And when you're an owner and you have a GM, that's what you are supposed to empower them to do, right?
Exactly.
You're supposed to empower them if they have a vision of like, hey, this is what I think the team could be, especially when you bring in owners that aren't basketball fanatics or fans. They're just owning a basketball team as another financial funnel for them. It's like, of course they're gonna go with who their general manager is. So it's like I've been seeing that a lot. It's like, and I get it. You don't want Nico to get so much of the blame as
Mm-hmm.
much blame as the owners. But again, he
Right.
stood on it. Every report said he presented the idea. He came up with the play. He was the one that was fully pushing for it. And they said Mark Cuban was the one that hired him, but once the new owners got into
Like
position,
before,
they
yep.
was Xing Mark Cuban out of certain conversations. Because of course Mark Cuban would have never done that. And not in a million years. So it's like, at the same time, it's like, yeah, you want certain people to take more of the blame and stuff. That man did this deal with
Yeah.
ego,
Right.
and he stood 10 on it. So he got to take the fall for it.
Clay.
Nico Harrison may never be a GM
Mm-hmm.
again in the NBA, bro. But he did something, and he tried it his way. And unfortunately, we never
Playoffs.
got to see the full version of the team. That's just the saddest part of it all. We never got to see Kyrie, AD, and Clay all play games together, try to get in a rhythm and try to figure this thing out. Because what also can happen for Nico is if in a year or
Mm-hmm.
two this team turns
True.
around
True.
and then the conference finals, or even the West, not even the finals, even the conference finals, we're gonna be looking back and revisiting this. So I think this
With the
story
yeah.
is far from over, because if that team turns around and do well
Mm-hmm.
in a year or two, they're gonna be like, oh, Nico probably was right. It's just that team needed time to gel together. But at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, you can't trade a 25-year-old superstar for somebody that's
Right.
already in
Right.
their 30s with a long injury history.
You would have asked him
I
like, what?
think AD is great. You think AD is great.
We ain't going there.
Anybody with two sets of eyes know that Anthony
Yeah.
Davis is great. And that's the part of me that feels for AD as somebody that's an AD fan. his name is always going to be tied into this. AD wouldn't have traded AD for Luka Doncic. You know what I mean? Like, AD wouldn't have done that. If AD was Nico Harrison, he'd be like, nah, I'm not doing that. But it's like everything is going to be attached to him. And it's like it was the same thing that's happening in LA. It's like, fam, like certain situations,
Yeah.
I get it. You're a ball player. You're a superstar. We expect the most out of you. But like certain things people ain't asked to be a part of. And
Yeah, like already
you
I
can't
already seen
tie
in the news they
their
was
greatness or their
bringing up
lack
the
to be
AD
great
stories as like,
to
oh, he
that
getting fat, he
situation
putting on weight.
because
I'm
you
like,
feel like
damn,
it's
bro,
the
you
right thing to do.
good luck. Good luck to
It's
you,
just
bro.
not fair to
Because
watch
damn,
AD. AD's name is constantly going to get
put
slandered
on
throughout
5 pounds or
this
something.
entire process, especially as Luka continue to average 40 and put up crazy triple doubles. It's like, it's tough, but part of me feel bad about that, bro. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, bro. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And it's like, and you know what's interesting about it? Because it's like, I would love to see if they asked like Nico, right? I think I had saw this somewhere. I think Brian Windhorst or someone said it, and I thought it was such a great. Or somebody asked Brian Windhorst this question, and I thought it was such a great question. It was like, you think if Nico Harrison got a chance to do it over again, would he say, "I would keep Luka Doncic," or would I open the trade up to all of the teams to get the best package possible? And I was like, that's a good question because he stood so firmly on that trade that it makes me think that maybe he still wouldn't even say I would keep Luka. Maybe he would say, I would have opened it up to see if we could have got a much more substantial
Oh,
package,
wow,
or
that's a
maybe
great
I would
question.
have got Austin Reeves.
I
But I
do
would love
think
to hear
given
your
the
thoughts on that, bro.
backlash,
Do you
I think
think
if
like if
if
somebody would have asked
had
Nico that
had
question,
he
do you
been,
think he would have
I
said that
guess,
like today?
more
Do you
privy
think he would
to
say,
what fans
"Cool,
felt and just
I'd
kind of
rather
just
keep
the
Luka,"
shock,
or
because
do you think
bro,
he would say,
you think
"Nah,
about
I
that
would have
night
just
when we
probably
dropped that
opened it
trade
up to
news, we
every
were all
team
just like,
and got the
whoa,
best package
like
possible,"
what?
as opposed to just keeping it with the Lakers? Yeah,
That was crazy. But yo, and
yeah,
just seeing
yeah,
like the
bro.
initial reaction to that
Leave it,
trade,
leave
I'm
it,
like,
leave it
man,
from bro crib. We
I'd
was just
been more
celebrating
privy
again
to
together.
how that was
Leave it from bro.
received. I
I'll
don't
never
think he would have
forget that.
traded him.
I never
But at the
forget
same
that, bro.
time, it's like,
Yeah, I
you
never
know,
forget that,
again,
man.
you're in this position as a
Not
GM.
like us, the Luca
You're
trade.
supposed to
Everything
aid
happened
in
at
making
bro
that
crib,
team
man.
the best team it could possibly. I think he
That's
probably would have
real though.
entertained opening up, the trade lines and seeing what else was out there. But ultimately, I do think he probably wouldn't have had jumped that gun had he known. I think Luka would still be a Maverick for sure. Like if he was just more privy to what was going on, yeah, I don't
Yeah,
think
I
he would have
agree.
made that move. I just don't think you can.
That's interesting because I think he probably would have just opened the trade
Yeah.
up, bro. And I get it, bro, because like in an ideal, like if we thinking just 2K for a second, right?
The one and
And
done.
you're not giving a damn about your franchise future. All you care about is
Yeah,
winning
yeah.
right there, right then and there. And like, I don't think that's a crazy deal to do, you know? Especially as 2K. You know you're gonna have Kyrie, you're gonna
Yeah.
have your team.
Oh, yeah.
2K, even if you play in my career mode, you only really care about that first championship. So that's all you're thinking about. You ain't thinking about the
Hey, man.
ramifications in the future. You know,
Life for the GM. Yep.
next 2K, you do it all over again. And so it's like, I get that from a 2K standpoint, but it's like, come on, Nico. And it's like, but he also did some great thing, getting Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, was able to, make some great moves. So it's like, I guess that's what happens in sports, bro. And I guess that's what happens when you're a
Yeah.
GM, being a GM or any position of power, I'm sure
Yeah.
come with a lot of
Yeah.
ego.
Yeah.
And sometimes your
I
ego get
mean,
the best of you. And I think
hey,
that's
you're
probably what
right.
happened to Nico in this time. Because I never forget after they drafted Cooper Flag, that tweet he sent out was like, "Do you believe in the process now?" or something. And I was like, "Yo, bro, you can't
Mm-hmm.
be so tone deaf." So a lot of this like brash and harshness coming Nico way. A lot of it he put
Mm-hmm.
on himself, so it's
Dude,
hard for people to
I was
really have
actually thinking
sympathy
about
for
that
it. It's like,
before too, man.
he
I don't
he
know if
said
you've
some of the
seen
wildest things since the trade, but
um because
shout out to
I've been
Nico,
seeing
shout out
like
to
the
Dallas.
like
Can't wait for
women's college
Kyrie Irving to
basketball is
get
being
back
at like a
healthy.
lot of
And,
a lot of
Lakers
news
got
lately.
Luca, bro.
There was
So
a
you know,
chick.
I ain't
I
tripping.
think she plays for Notre
I
Dame.
ain't tripping, but here
Um,
we are,
her name is
bro.
like Hannah something. She
They
had like 16
think
steals in
we
the game, bro.
covered
Like
some,
and dropped like
two of the most
45.
important topics
And I
that's
think she has
going
like the
on
most.
this
I think
week.
that's
I did just
I think
want to
that was the
get your
record for like
thoughts. You know,
most
any
steals.
shout
I
outs,
think on
anything
both
you've been
men
seeing,
and
anything
women's
you've been
college
noticing
basketball.
that you just want to
And I was
highlight
like,
and
man,
talk
she
to
had herself a
today.
game. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, she had herself a game. I was like, man, 16? I think the NBA record is like what, like 11, 12, like something like that. 16 is yeah. I think it's 11. I just don't know who has that record. Though. I don't think it's
Mm-hmm.
Gary Payton. Probably some random from the 80s, like Larry Keenon. I
Yeah.
don't know why I knew that.
Hannah Hidalgo. Yeah. Yep.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Just looked it up.
Yeah, man. 45 and
I don't
16
know.
is nuts.
Let me see. I can find that.
That's Redmo.
Look it up right now, bro. That's exactly who it is. Larry Keenon and Kendall Gill. They both had like 11 steals.
Yeah.
They both had 11 steals in the game. Yeah, yeah, but that's true though. Crazy numbers, bro. That's just different, bro. Yeah, that's Recmo, bro. That's different, and like, bro, and on my end, bro, I'm just gonna give a shout
Mm-hmm.
out to Shea and the Oklahoma City Thunder, bro, because not only did they
Quick
spank on
question:
the Lakers last night, which they were home, is
Do you
getting
think they're
spanked on
still a
by the
shoe in for the
Thunder
finals?
is it something to lose sleep about? But at the same time, I think they're 12-1 right now, and it's gonna be interesting to see as this season continues, as they stay in that rhythm, if they stay healthy, if
Yeah.
they're gonna catch Golden State's record. I think they can. I think they got the youth. I think they got the youth on their side. I think they got the skill on their side. And I think just coming off a championship and being
Yeah.
in
Oh
that
yeah.
flow and
For
that
sure.
rhythm and that
For sure.
confidence that you have after
That's
that,
prime.
it wouldn't surprise me if they went at least 73-9.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. It's just it's a few more things I need to see, bro. I'm not gonna lie, right? Like if you ask
Right.
me right now, I'm gonna say yes. Of course, I'm gonna say yes, bro. It's just hard to say
Mm-hmm.
anything but that. But it's a few teams. Like one, and again, it's not biasness.
Can't
I
knock
do want to see what the Lakers are like when Braun get back. I do because Braun has always had success against that Oklahoma, especially as they're
Yeah.
currently constructed. He's always had success against that Oklahoma City Thunder team. If you go look back to the games, the stat lines, he's always found success. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting for me to see that. But it's hard for me to say no. Obviously Denver is
Mm-hmm.
Denver.
Mm-hmm.
They were a
Yeah.
game away of beating them last year. So Denver's Denver, bro. You can't ever ignore somebody
Yeah.
who's gonna walk in and give you 55. So it's like if you want to take that away, he'll get you 18 assists and 15 rebounds. So it's like I don't know, bro. I don't think anything's a shoe in, but I do. I'm clamoring, bro, to see what the Lakers look like when Bron get back, bro. Because I 20. What was he? 25, 7-7 last year. 25, 6 and
Hey,
6,
for real.
something like that, bro. If we get that back, which I have no doubt, and even beyond that, bro, it's the
Yeah.
IQ, it's the
Yeah.
know-how, it's the now. I don't ever have to worry about a time on the court where we don't have LeBron or Luca or AR playing. And I think that's a big kind of advantage of like, all right, always gonna have an elite ball handler on the court. And then
Mm-hmm.
Luca and
Mm-hmm.
LeBron pick and roll, bro. I don't think Bron's ever gotten easier shot. So it's gonna be interesting for me to see. But
That's what matters.
shout out to the Thunder, bro, because
Bench depth.
I think,
Mm-hmm.
bro, if they stay healthy, stamp this episode. I think they're gonna at least tie that Golden State record, 73-9. I think they're gonna tie
16.
it, bro. 12-1 now, and it's like they was winning a lot of those games without J Dub. Like a lot of those, like even the game yesterday, it was like Shea had
Yeah.
30, but it's like everybody else contributed, bro, and we got just
Mm-hmm.
spanked. You know what I mean?
Great
And that's
times, man.
that's what that team is. That team is really deep, and everybody contributes. So gonna be interesting to see. Gonna be interesting to see. But shout out to the Thunder. Shout out to
Ooh.
Xana Delgado, Hidalgo, excuse me, for her setting her record at Notre Dame.
All right.
And that's where we are. 16 steals, bro. She gonna be cooking. It's gonna be dope to watch these young women, develop and go into the WNBA. And
Mm-hmm.
now it seems like the WNBA is opening up, more leagues and more opportunities for these women. So shout out to her. Shout out to all that's going on in sports. It's a great time to be a sports fan. I think in baseball news, I think we find out tonight the MVPs. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to that. The Cy Young winners were announced yesterday. So Skeens and Schoolboy, shout out to them. But that's where we are. Paint to the pit. Until next time, we are out. Peace.